What do you guys think?
It's an excuse.
Yeah.
It's the off-ramp.
Because if we, like, for instance, tried lifting a big boulder, we can't say you can lift it if you know you physically can't lift it yourself.
I mean,
If you
So then
believe
you
you
fail.
can't lift it yourself.
Well,
Because I can lift a boulder myself.
There are some things I know I can't.
I just need a good
well, give me an example what you can't do.
Of what I can do, I can't lift a mountain. If we're using the mountains and mass.
So I would disagree again.
I can move
Atlas
a
says you can do
mountain,
it.
but I couldn't lift a mountain.
Yeah, I would disagree.
But you can lift it with machinery, I guess.
So this
Yeah, but I'm
is
talking
something.
just my own physical
Yeah.
realm
Yeah.
of abilities.
So,
Well-
but this is where we go. We make a general statement. I cannot lift a mountain. Right? We make a statement like that, and there's more to it than that. It's true that with my hands and no extra help, I cannot lift a mountain today by getting under it. Okay? Once I want to make it more specific, I go, okay, I'm okay with you saying that's true. And yet, there's a really famous Chinese philosopher called Zhuangzi, and he tells a story about this person who said you can't lift a mountain. And a family then went for generations and just started moving rocks and completely lifted the mountain and moved it to a different place. So it's a different system of thinking. And I think that this is the word try. This is where we say, as soon as we say we can't, we are limiting ourselves to thinking in only one way. As soon as we stop saying that, as soon as we say things like the Kiyosaki, how can I, then we start looking for other methods. Well, could I use this? Could I use this? If I say to my kid, you can't lift that boulder. Well, again, using his hands in one effort, right now, no help, no, he can't. But with the right fulcrum, who is it that said, was it
Give me a
Epictetus?
lever or move.
Who said it?
Yeah, in a place to stand.
I think it was a Greek mathematician or something. And he said, if you give me a lever and a place to stand, basically, I can move the planet.
Yeah.
I can move the world. Based on basic physics, right?
Levers.
Lever and fulcrum.
Yeah.
I mean, there is the business of moving houses.
Yeah. So I think that this is a key point to the try argument, is that whenever we say we can't, we're making usually a general statement. We mean something specific, but we're making a general statement, and then our mind applies the general statement to the specific parts of that, and we stop looking for other answers to accomplish the general statement. So instead of asking ourselves, how do I move a mountain? How do I lift a mountain? What's the way? I say to myself, I can't, and then I stop looking for any other answers. So again, it's the subconscious mind, right?
My last project was a 7-plex, and it was put on a piece of property that the city had declined all the previous applications for development on for the previous 21 years. And I submitted my application, they rejected it. I went in, I said, you can't reject it. It meets every legal requirement. You have no statutory discretion to turn it down on this occasion. And they said, yeah, but, and they fired off a reason I would apply 99.9%. And I'd say, well, flip over 3 pages, look at this subparagraph here, it meets that exception. They said, okay, stamped it, sent it off to the next department in the city. The next department in the city rejected it as well. They just had this precondition about this particular piece of property. And I had to go back in again, and I had to walk them through another exception. And as a matter of fact, we moved houses to meet some of these exceptions. We picked houses up and plopped them on the property. Anyways, after we did this, they rewrote the law, but we got our project through, and it's built, and it's cash flow.
Again, that's a great example. And so what is the try usually used for? Let's repeat what we just said a couple minutes ago. What is try usually used for? How is it used?
That's a good combo.
Or things that you don't think you can do yet, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
And even if we're not sure, it's a way out. That's what try is. It's a way out.
So I think if you don't want to do something, well, I'll try and do that.
Yes.
It's just to kind of appease the other person, making them think that you might try and do it, or you might do it.
It's a way out.
Yeah.
No hurt feelings are hurt. I tried. I thought about it for a second.
I thought we were trying.
or I thought about trying.
Yeah.
Right? So I've actually changed my vocabulary. I've changed how I say it, whether I try or not. Because I found that I was saying that and I was using it as an excuse for myself. And I've tried to stop using it. I've attempted. I found that it was an earnest attempt and I've been really successful with it. What I found is that I'm careful before I make a promise to a person. I'm more careful to make a commitment to somebody because I believe I'm going to be held accountable for this now.
I got a question. So how do you get your kids to taste a new piece of food?
Yeah, so there are a lot of different pieces there, and it's more complex because every family's a little bit different, okay? Just like confirmation bias works for us, it works for our kids.
Yeah.
This is what I would say. If you ask me, Mark, teach my kid how to try this piece of food today, attempt to taste it, then I would say, that's not the way I'm going to help you. What I would say is start to build systems in your house whereby a year from now they do taste foods that are put in front of them. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not as simple always as just using like a Jedi mind trick on somebody. It's more about how do you set up a structure in your family. So for example, in our house, my kids love tripe. They love tripe. Like when we've got tripe around, that's the first thing to go off the plate or out of the soup dish. I'm serious, the first thing. Ken, you experience this. Do my kids like tripe?
Yes. Weird kids.
Yeah, I hear ya.
Ken came
They were
over.
excited about it.
Yeah, so Ken came over, and before the Calgary event, he was over for dinner one night, and we had this special Chinese dish. We put on this big platter, and my kids were nuts about the tripe. That's the first thing they finished off. They polished off.
I'm sure they love haggis too.
And I think part of it is that we don't put certain connotations on certain foods for them. We don't put the connotations on certain foods. My wife and I are very aware of how we talk to our kids about bugs. So if we react to bugs as if we're scared, guess what they learn? So if I'm a picky eater, guess what they learn? Or if my wife, or if somebody else that's influential in their lives. Now, this is where it becomes more complex. We don't have full control, we know this very well, over all the influence over our kids. If they go to school, if they have grandparents, if they have friends, if they exist on this planet, if they watch TV, if anything, if they function in this world, they get influence outside of us, right? And that's okay. But this is what I would recommend you do if we're talking about kids. Become the number one most important resource for authority in your house. By that, I don't mean know everything. By that, I mean become the safest person for the people in your family. So this now applies to everyone, okay? It's not just your family, it's not just your friends, it's people you meet on a plane, people that you meet wherever. First time, or you've met many times, or their family. Become the safest person for other people to share who they are. If other people can share their fears with you, you will become far safer. You will now become more trusted. You will now become a confidant. Now you will become the person that they come to. And your word, you say one thing, it carries far more power with people around you. It's not about knowing more, it's about being safer. I have a theory. This is Mark's pet theory. If I was going to write down a new methodology for psychology, how to practice psychotherapy, it would be based on my belief that what people want most in life is to be heard and understood. What we want most, deeper than anything else, is that I actually share my heart with somebody, I'm vulnerable, and not only do they hear me, but they understand what I'm talking about, and they're excited about who I am because of it. That's the deepest, most profound desire that most human beings have. That's my belief. Now, if that's true, by becoming someone who's safe, so when somebody says something, instead of giving them a sarcastic joke, instead of, and I'm talking about all of us now, we're all Canadians, right? We've all practiced this, at least on some level. If someone gives a sarcastic joke, it shuts somebody down. Now they're less safe. As soon as somebody shares something, instead of telling them what you think your belief is on that, listen, take a little bit longer and ask them. And again, we're going to get into this in the communication webinar, but practice asking questions that get to know somebody from their point of view. What I mean by that is an open-ended question. So instead of saying, why do you like that? In an accusatory way. It's a surefire way to shut somebody down. Because it happens with us, and we shut down. Instead of asking, well, is it red or blue that's your favorite? Ask, tell me more about that. And now somebody goes wherever they want to go, wherever their mind was going. And they'll be a little bit more vulnerable. And if you ask the right question then, they'll be a little more vulnerable, okay? So a lot of this has to do with communication. And that's going to answer your question in part right now, Rick. But I want to get into some other things as well. So this is how, I'm going back to Yoda. This is how my family watches movies. An hour and a half movie usually takes us 4 hours to watch. So we don't have a TV in our house. We watch things on the computer, or we've got a projector that we can put onto the wall. But we don't watch TV in our house. So already we've changed how movies are experienced in our house. It's not to relax. Movie is not to relax in our house. Watching TV is not, the purpose is not to veg out and eat popcorn. The purpose in our family is to learn. When we watch a movie in our house, now listen, I'm not saying this is what you're going to like to do. You might listen to me and go like, that sounds horrifying, right? So I'm not trying to convince you that this is the right way. This is just what my family does, okay? Not right or wrong. We will stop every single time we watch a movie, and if any idea comes up in our minds where Teresa or I go, we have a question for the kids on this, or we want to check comprehension on this, or we think it's an important point that we should talk about as a family, there's abuse, or maybe if someone's just disrespectful to another person, or there's sarcastic humor, or whatever we are learning about, whatever we're thinking about, we will stop the movie and we'll say, what just happened? We'll talk about it as a family. And those are family times where everyone enjoys, because we're having a treat. It's a movie, we don't usually watch movies, and we're usually eating popcorn or something like that, and we're talking as a family. So we are attaching communication about deeper things to all these other positive things in their mind. What we're trying to do there is prepare our family so that for the rest of their lives, communication and deeper communication and questioning themselves and how they think is fun. Does that make sense? So there's a lot of things that we're doing here. But we also stop all the time and talk about them and challenge our kids on them. And they know that whether they're right or wrong, doesn't matter. We're just going to explore the idea together. This happens all the time with audio. So we listen to audiobooks. We're careful about what kind of audiobooks we get. And if you want some ideas on some books for your kids or some movies for your kids, talk to me, because I've got a few that I've vetted that I like for certain reasons, and you can take them or leave them. Another thing that I do is I will play things that I'm learning, the audio that I'm listening to, I let my kids listen to. So, a few weeks ago, I'm driving them alone. Teresa wasn't in the vehicle, it's just me and the kids. And usually, when I'm in the vehicle, we don't listen to a lot of audio, we talk. But this time, they said, Daddy, please, this time can we listen to something? I said, sure. You can listen to what I'm listening to every day. And I put in psychocybernetics. Okay? So if you've read psychocybernetics, there's a lot of jargon, and it's high-level thinking. Okay? It's not like the red dog walks, the red dog jumps. It's not that kind of book. What are your thoughts? What are your assumptions when I play that for my kids? What's going to happen? They're going to be bored? What else?
I think they'll get interested.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. They started asking questions. Daddy, stop. I put pause. What does that mean? When he says this, can that really happen? Yeah, it can happen. Wow. Of Cool, could it happen with this? Could it happen with this? And start exploring ideas. Yes, yes, let's explore these ideas. We got to my parents' place. So this is a 20-minute drive. We've only probably listened to about 2 minutes of the audio, okay? Guess what my daughter says to me as I hit stop and I take the keys out and we're walking out. She's like, Daddy, please don't listen to this without us. Please save it right where we were so that we can keep listening to it another time, okay? And I said, tell you what, I listen to this every day, and whenever you ask me and we're in the vehicle together, we can listen to this together, okay? So then she was satisfied. They were begging me to listen to Psycho-Cybernetics.
She's how old?
Just turned 8 last week.
Wow.
My son was right into it too. He'll think about something and 2 days later he'll be like, so Daddy, remember when we did that thing or we learned that thing? Does this make sense? Or does this, he'll play around with an idea 2 days later. It's beautiful. So this is one thing that I would encourage you to do. Don't limit your kids or your family or your friends or the people you're meeting based on your own assumptions. Put something out there assuming that people will enjoy it. And the more you assume they will enjoy it, the more they will enjoy it. Confirmation bias, okay? Based on your beliefs. Supper conversation. So we around supper tables, get good. A little while ago, maybe a few years ago, I heard that there was this certain, you could buy a package of cards. So maybe some of you have experience with this. You could buy a package of cards and they have deep dinner conversations on them. It's like more than the weather or the recent sporting event or whatever. And you basically, before guests arrive, you would pick out a card and then you would talk about that as a group for dinner conversation. Great idea. My wife and I do that all the time. If we're getting ready to go to Hawaii, we make Hawaii a topic of conversation. So we read a book about the political history of Hawaii in our house. Kids are 5 and 7. They loved it. They loved it. My kids know what an oligarchy is. Because they were interested in it. And why were they interested in it? Because we were interested in it, and we assumed they would be interested. And we stopped all the time and talked about these ideas. There's a king called King Kamehameha. And we talked about him all the time. My kids know who this guy is, okay? So we read a book on the annexation, basically, of the island of Hawaii, or the islands of Hawaii. And my kids know all this history, and they're engaged in it. When my kids ask me a question about something, or when somebody in general asks me a question that I don't know, I go, let's find out. And we'll search right there, together. We'll learn together. That's a habit. Get into a habit of learning with somebody else. If you don't know the answer, go, I don't know. Let's look it up. And make it exciting, okay? When it's part of you, when it's a bigger part of you, it'll become a bigger part of other people around you. Learn to make everything intentional. So on birthdays, I'll give you a few other things that we do. So we're trying to teach our kids self-confidence, but we're also trying to teach them how to invest in other people around them. So Ken, tell us about the special plate at our house, or the special bowl.
You have to say something nice about yourself.
That's the hardest thing about it.
That was the hardest thing about it. So whoever gets the bowl has to. How does it go again?
Yeah, so we have a special plate and we have a special bowl in our house. There's nothing special about them. They're just a little bit different than all the other plates and bowls. And whenever we have a guest over at our house, or a group of people, we will take this special plate or bowl, depending on what we're eating, and we will put it in front of one of the guests. When there's no guests, often we do this with each other. And what we do is, the way we play this is, everyone has to go around, we go around in a circle, and everyone gets to say, even change your language. And everything changes, the connotations. Everyone has the opportunity to say something kind about who the person is. Not what they do, who they are as a human being. So Ken came over, and my kids don't know Ken very well, right? I mean, he was playing, and they like him. They don't know him incredibly well. My wife knows him a little bit better just because I talk about him all the time. But we went around the dinner table, and each of us said something that we appreciated about who Ken was. My kids are still learning that concept. Sometimes they still go to what they do. I like Ken because he plays with me, okay? So we went around in a circle, and the end of this is that the person with the special plate or bowl has to say something that they appreciate about themselves. not something that they do, about who they are as a human being. And it is really uncomfortable for almost everyone, including us. Including us. Yes? Corey? go ahead.
That last part you were saying, in person says something about themselves that they like.
Yeah, something about themselves that they like. Not about what they do, about who they are. So it's about character. It's about the person rather than the stuff that they do. My wife is really uncomfortable with this still. I've got to admit, every time I get the special plate, I'm searching, and I'm still a little bit uncomfortable. Where does that discomfort come from? What's your guess? Self-worth,
Insecurities.
self-image, insecurities. That's what it's about. So what are we training our family and people around us to do? We're training them to do the exact opposite, to find worth and value in themselves. And what I'm trying to do with my kids and my wife and myself is, the biggest lessons is learned by our own family. Other people splutter and have a hard time with it. My mom, every single time she comes over, has a hard time with it. So we usually give her the plate every time, okay? Because she needs the more practice, right? We love her that way. And we're not mean. There's no sarcastic humor around our table when we do this. It's a serious gift that we're giving to somebody, okay?
It's a very uncomfortable gift.
Very uncomfortable. We made Ken find two things because the first thing was he was fumbling around with it and trying to eat food instead of talk. and partially, he was partially having fun with it, but partially it was really difficult for him. So he said, okay, not good enough. That's more about what you do. We want about who you are, what you value about yourself. And so then it was harder, but it's a helpful situation. It's a helpful exercise. What I'm trying to do is give my kids confidence in who they are, seeing the value of who they are. Other people are telling them, we love this about who you are. And they have to find it about themselves. It's just reaffirming all the stuff that most people in our culture struggle with.
That goes back to, it reminds me of when we first started our accountability 3 years ago. Rewarding ourselves.
Yes. Remember how uncomfortable that was?
We couldn't do it.
Simple things.
Yeah.
So Ken and I don't know where the idea came from. We came up with an idea of let's change our brains. So attach things that we like to the tasks that will get us where we want to go. So we would set a few tasks for ourselves, and when we completed them, we would give ourselves a gift. And we had to tell each other what's the gift that we're going to give ourselves. What's the reward we're going to give ourselves when we're done this? And sometimes it was like a date with our wives. Sometimes it was like a bar of chocolate. So it could be anything. It could be I'm gonna take an hour-long bath, or it was just some kind of reward. It was so hard at the beginning. And then we started getting a little bit better at it, and we got out of it after a while. That's fine too. You get into and out of patterns at different times. Sometimes if you realize, I want to do that again, you can start it up again. It's not a problem. But get into a habit of changing how you do things. Again, the reason Kiyosaki says take a different route to work every day, or take a different route to wherever every day, it's just changing patterns. When you disrupt patterns, or create new patterns, you change how you think and you open yourself. You're more mindful. You open yourself to exploring something more. Another example is on our birthdays. So on our birthdays, we do everything different. Everything different. We eat chocolate cake in the morning for breakfast. And so when we eat our birthday cake for breakfast. The number one reason we do that is because chocolate and sugar for our kids after noon makes bedtime more difficult for us. Okay? So it's completely selfish. One of the reasons. But it sounds really weird. You tell other people that we eat chocolate cake for breakfast 5 times a year. We eat it at Christmas morning for Jesus' birthday too. We do that 5 times a year. And the kids love it. Okay? My wife has a really strong Christian faith, so that's a strong influence in our family. On a birthday, I ask my kids hard questions. I ask them, what are the things that stand out most about this last year that you enjoyed? It takes a while for a kid to think through. But then the family starts gathering. Oh, I remember that. And we enjoy all the great things about the last year. What am I doing? I'm teaching them about the wins of the day, the wins of the week, the wins of the year. I'm teaching them these concepts. And then we look ahead and we say, what is the thing you're most looking for this year? And they start dreaming. What am I doing? I'm creating future memories. and getting them to look forward to this year rather than being frustrated about looking up this year. So all these concepts, what you can do is take any one of these concepts and then brainstorm it with somebody you trust. Just think about it yourself, or do it with your partner, whoever it is, and go, what would this look like for the people around me? How could I use this to teach other people and retrain myself? The more you do it, the more it helps yourself. So, I've given you a bunch of ideas now. What are some other brainstorm? What are some other ideas from you guys on ways that this can be implemented at home, or wherever you are, right?
I play games with my nieces, and then they forget, and then they see me again. It's the first game that comes up usually.
There you go, patterns.
So I did the memory book, memorized 10 words with associations. And they always do that if they come to my house, and they're writing down 10 words, random words, and playing games and remembering. Things like that.
So it's just pen and paper. You don't need to be extravagant here, right? Beautiful. And you're teaching them that they can memorize anything. They do have a good memory, right? Great example. What are other examples? It doesn't have to be examples of things you already do. It can be examples of like, well, I wondered, could I do this with my family? Or could I do this with my friends? Or could I do this with somebody I know?
I also do it with languages when I travel. Majority of people do the swear words.
Yeah.
I do the, I intentionally in conversations with people who are not native English, I pick words I know they won't know and bring them into a conversation.
Yeah. So what happens when you do that?
Usually they can pick it up in the context, but I'll ask them, is this a word that you understood?
Yeah.
They're like, well, I think so. And I was like, well, let's look it up, or I'll explain what the word means or something to them to help broaden their.
So do you know what I call that? I call that sales. Bringing in a concept that somebody doesn't necessarily, that they're not necessarily thinking about, and then exploring it with that person. That's a form of sales, right? And not only are you influencing others, you're influencing yourself. And you can choose the words that you're learning. Mindfulness, subconscious mind, paradigms. You can choose the words you want. That's a great example again. I love it.
Something I'm just starting with my granddaughter is paying her to read books. I get to choose the book. And she has to do a book report on it, and then she gets paid instead of, and Jen's doing this with her as well.
Yep.
Instead of doing chores and being paid, she has to still do the chores. But, you know, if she wants to have some spending money or not, you know, then she has to do a book report.
What are the books?
First one is Celestine Prophecy.
Okay.
Jen wanted me to have her read that one, so it's through Jen, but Jen wants me to do it because she will listen more to me than she will to her mom.
Yeah, that's fine. Be
So,
shrewd.
Yeah.
How's that going?
Her first book report's due. I have to follow up with her. That's this week's task.
So do you have a due date, like a time frame that she has to complete the?
This is her first one, so we've been very, because her life and everything's been chaotic for us
Yeah.
since we just started this. But once we get the first one done, she understands the process of what a book report actually is and what I expect from it, then the next one will go much quicker.
The reason I ask is because I'm doing, in theory, doing this with my daughter as well. And we had, I think we're up to a contract and said these are the, so that, just to add clarity, so that she knows what she has to do in order to get the money. And I know what to expect when she's done it, but she doesn't want to read it. It's Seasons of Life by Jim Rohn. Short, easy to read book. I thought it would be a good way to start. And it was weird because she read a few pages, she's like, oh, hey dad, you know, this is what they do at school. And it's like they try to talk about your mistakes or whatever. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. She's getting something. And then she hasn't picked it up since. And like, you know, sweetheart, this is, and maybe, I don't know if I'm putting the wrong connotation on it, that this is just something else that's work. But I try to teach her like, well, no, this is something that will help you in processing ideas. And I don't know if I'm just maybe not presenting it in the right way, or I don't know what. So I love the idea.
Does she like to read?
No, she doesn't like to read.
So you got a barrier right there.
So what about an audiobook? What if she listened to it and gave you a verbal report instead of a written report?
That's a good idea.
So this is the beauty, is that there's no limitations. There are no limitations here.
Or you can ask her what kind of a book she wants to read instead of you suggesting which book.
Now she doesn't like,
I don't-
read books. Yeah, I mean, I've sort of,
Or you could use something like motivational quotes. They got little small books, and she's got to read one every day and tell you what her best one is at the end of the month or something.
Yeah.
Simple for people that don't like to read. 'Cause I don't like to read, but I force myself
Yeah.
to read.
I've got a great book on quotes.
Yeah.
There you go.
And then it's uplifting every day. She's reading something positive every day, and it's simple, quick.
Don't you love masterminds?
Yes, yes, I do.
Right answer.
And then when she gets paid, she'll be excited, and then she'll go on for the bigger ones.
Or
And
maybe
she's
it's
got to
like a
explain the
reward.
quote and why she to get
Yeah,
paid.
why it's meaningful
Yeah,
to her.
yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe that's only $1 each.
Yeah. that's what
And
I'm
then she'll
thinking.
wonder if she give you 2 next week.
Yeah.
Upscale.
Well, and you can change what the report looks like. It might have to meet certain criteria or whatever, right? But I like the idea of books and learning, specifically certain books, and having a monetary value to it, because it does draw that connection. Oh, if I learn and I understand these concepts,
I will receive.
I receive something for it, right? Monetarily.
It makes me money.
But yeah, you can play around. You can play around with the reward. You can play around with every aspect of this.
So does our book help the ask when we read our book?
Yes.
Yes, it does.
Yes, infinite returns.
Wasn't quite that.
I'm gonna. What's that?
I said, can't see it, but it's there.
Yeah. So I'm going to share the way I do my kids' allowance. Now I know it's more focused on kids. Again, I'm just using this example to say, explore these ideas with your family members. Explore them with people around you. Talk about them. You'll have conversations with a lot of people in life about kids and allowance over time. So we have an allowance for our kids. They are paid their age in dollars on a weekly basis. So when they're 5, we started when they're 5. So Enoch, when he turned 5, he started getting $5 a week for his allowance. JL gets now, she's so excited when I come home because she's starting to get $8 now a week. When she turns 8, now she gets 8 instead of 7. And what we've done is we've completely separated them. So again, I'm not saying this is right or wrong, this is how we do it. We've completely separated this from chores, from responsibilities. They cannot, in our house, lose it or win it. It just happens. It's part, for us, it's just education. Okay? So we've separated other connotations to them for reasons that work for us. We divide this into 4 groups. We have giving, and they give 20%. We have investing, they give 25%. Or they put 25% into that. We have saving, and they put in 45%, and we have pocket change, and that's 10%. Okay? So for every dollar that we give them in allowance, and for any gift that they get from anyone else in the family, for Christmas or birthday or anything, that's above $10, we do this. If it's under $10, they can decide which pile to put it in. And that's fascinating to watch. So my kids will sometimes pick pocket change. Most times, they will choose giving or investing.
What's the third one?
Saving. So this is how we came up with it. My wife and I talked about it, and we said we want giving to always be the first thing that they think about, giving to others, giving to others, giving to others. And we said we want it to be like there's the cultural connotation of like a tithe, the 10%. We said no, we want it to be bigger than that, like twice as big as that. So we made it 20%. Again, every part of this is intentional, what we're teaching our kids. Then the second thing, every time, as soon as they give money to others, then we would put investing next. Because you always invest before we save or spend money ourselves. We do that. Now listen, you could do this a completely different way. You could make pocket change the first. I always pay myself first, or I always give myself money first. That's okay too. Just be intentional about it with your situation, and make sure that you understand it and you're doing it in a way that's consistent with that. So investing, 25%. We teach our kids. So I teach my kid every single time I give the allowance. Every Sunday morning we do allowance. And I say, what is the first category? And my kids say, giving. And I say, what is giving for? They say, making other people's lives a little bit better. Great. We give the money. Second, What's the next category? Investing. What is investing for? Making our money grow so that eventually we don't need to get money anywhere from outside. Perfect. Let's do this. Next, they say saving. I say, what is saving for? Things that we need to live on, and things for the future. So for us, saving is usually anything that they need to save for over about 6 months to a year. That's what we save. Both my kids have chosen horses. They want to buy horses. Okay? Great. It's going to take years for that. That teaches delayed gratification. It teaches anticipation. It teaches thinking and being mindful of that. And we're going to change this as they get older. Okay? So that's saving, and then pocket changing. They have 10% of their pocket change of every dollar. It's not much. They can use it for whatever they want. There's zero restriction on the pocket change. They can take the pocket change and put it into one other category. They can take the pocket change and buy sugar, cubes of sugar if they want. Now, there is a restriction on what they eat every day. So how do they use what they buy? If they buy straight sugar, we won't let them eat it. But they can choose to buy whatever they want. And they've learned quite quickly not to buy candy, because we won't give it to them all. We'll say there's a restriction on that. Also with candy, so we've attached candy and in diet with money. So my kids get candy from different places. Sometimes we go to a store, we go to our bottle depot, and they give us candy. And so we wait until they've accumulated a little pile, because we don't really give it to them. And then we say, hey, listen, do you want to eat a candy today, or would you like us to buy all your candy from you? And they choose, because we've run the system for so long, they choose. They see the value in all these different areas. They choose to sell their candy to us. We buy the candy for a couple of bucks, we throw it in the garbage, and we're all happy.